So looking at that first question, how do we work together? I think first of all, we have to understand how each other thinks. We have to understand the motivation that drives our organizations. We have to understand the realities of where we are. And we need to do it in very practical and tangible terms. And that's hard because it takes time. And guess what? It's the one thing I don't have. No matter how much we put this together, time equates to money. And I got a deadline I got to hit. And all of those realities come down. So what we need is a commitment from the leadership at both ends to take the time to actually go and delegate to people who can actually contribute, to the Daves of the world, and to the engineers, and to the artists, and the expertise underneath the leadership, but endorsed and supported by the leadership to come up with some creative solutions to the problems we're facing. Because the leadership of tomorrow is based off the groups coming out of the university systems today. That's truly my personal belief. The next question is, what are the barriers for academic and industry partnership? Well, frankly, we have a conflict of interest. My job is to make money. My job is to create a product. My job is to change the world through my entertainment media. Academia's job is to groom the leadership of tomorrow. Now, I take that responsibility within my organization, but if I don't get to the first step, I don't get to the second. How many organizations do we know that have strived and failed, and then those people aren't employed? I had the horrible process of laying off over 160 people last August in my organization. And any of you who have gone through that process know that it's the most gut-wrenching experience you will ever go through. And it was based off a strategic decision completely out of my control. But that does not alleviate me of the responsibility. Right? So we have, what are these barriers? What are these things that stop us from working together? Time, energy, and money. Truth is, money is actually more available because we can make that available. Time. If I have an engineer who's brilliant. He actually works in a closet. He doesn't have good social experience, social skills. He's actually a very nice guy, but he needs to work in a closet. We used to put black drapes around it so that the sound and stuff. This guy is brilliant. He's beyond brilliant. We have created an environment to accommodate his brilliance, right, and allow for that to happen. The truth is, he's the anomaly. We need students and we need people coming out of the system that know how to work with people. We need relationship skills. We need some of the soft skills in order for us to solve some of these problems. Because it's not just brilliance, it's brilliance working within a context of a larger environment. I have some team sizes that exceed 120 people. I know that Electronic Arts has very large teams. I know that it's becoming more and more common for our teams to grow. Now you hear about the story of World of Goo, the two guys who stole internet access from Starbucks and the illegal copy version of Photoshop, and they created a product called World of Goo for WeWare for these two guys for less than $10,000. The truth is that's not a scalable business model for me. Right? Having guys work with illegal copies of software just isn't something that would justify a software business. These barriers are very real, but they're barriers based off time and context. I'm asked often by academia, what can we do for you? I don't know, $10 million next year on the schedule. Great. Can you go talk to somebody like that? The truth is we don't even understand what we need just yet. We don't even know that we have a problem. This is the real challenge. We have an organization that's focused and dedicated on what we are doing right now, because I have 170 people relying on that, right? And then every now and then we pull our head above the waterline, we do it 10,000 feet and take a look at the horizon and say, where are we, right? And then every now and then we even go 30,000 feet. Warning, there's no oxygen up there. Don't stay there very long. Okay, 30,000 feet is a great place to get perspective, but it's not a great place to stay for a while. And the art form that we're looking for is how you go from 30,000 to 10,000 ground zero and back and forth in real time based on the needs and the objectives of your organization. Are you teaching that system? How do we break down the barriers? We need people dedicated to it and focused on it. There are no easy solutions, and I understand that's the goal of this forum, is to find some solutions. You guys probably have much better ideas as to how to do that than I do. I do have some ideas, but as my organization can only do a little piece, what we look to do is to hopefully build on momentum. I was asked, how can we remove these barriers? Well, the truth is a lot of times we put the barriers up ourselves, right? Because it's inconvenient, it's not timely, we have struggles with it, we've got a deadline to meet, we've got a milestone I got to deliver on, whatever the excuse is, right? And so time and place. I'll give you a great example. Kent is trying to get a group of us together to have a meeting, and you try to coordinate the schedules of 6 or 7 presidents of studios here in the Vancouver Basin, and it's like setting up a conference, right? I mean, you got exec assistants, you got temporary assistants, you got everybody all answering emails, and never is there a date on the calendar that works, right? Take that, compound it to the challenges we face within these barriers, and they're very real, which means we need to delegate people down real authority to make decisions and have some involvement at the lower level so the discussions can in fact take place. And again, I'll go back to, we have to empower our people to be involved, to teach, to get involved in academia, to allow for these students to come into our organizations and to feel what it works like in our world. People walk into the studios and they say, wow, you guys have a great energy. No, we've got great people. People make that energy work, and that energy is alive and it's real. And there are days you walk in the studio and you can feel that energy drop because people are struggling and they're fighting, they're dealing with the challenges of real people. And so I look at that and I don't know how to answer the question. I was baffled by some of these questions because you could apply these same questions to the realities of the studio operations. Right? How do I remove barriers for people? We ask people to ask questions. If you ask a question, we guarantee we'll give you an answer. We just make no guarantee you'll like the answer. Do we have a culture that allows for that? Because isn't the empowerment the ability to ask the question? Do we allow our folks to ask? And if they do ask, do we give them the courtesy to answer, even if they don't like the answer? Because it's not their job necessarily to like it, just to know that they can ask, and in that knowledge they can act. I think that's what academia does. It teaches people to ask questions. I'm not sure what happens after they graduate because they come in timid. Right? You got to train them how to ask questions. Right? So those challenges exist. What are the consequences impact if we don't? The truth is we have a talent void, we have a leadership void. I loved your quote, 30,000 employees, 10,000 are going to retirement. So eventually I will retire. And somebody's got to come in and fill the gap, right? Somebody's got to come in and someone else will have to come in. The truth of the matter is we have a talent void, we have a leadership void. Our industry's gone through a bit of a bump. I don't know if you guys read the latest stats. We lost 12% of the entire workforce worldwide in our industry over the last 8 months. Some 8,500 employees were laid off. Guys, it's a temporary bump. It's a temporary hit to our world. It will come back. It will come back stronger. It will come back brighter. Because what we do is so powerful and so meaningful in the world, and especially as we go forward. The consequences are grand. The consequences are a lack of leadership. Consequences are a lack of opportunity. Consequences are a lack of economic growth. Consequences are, in fact, organizations that should have existed will never exist because those entrepreneurial spirits and that teamwork and that ability to drive forward is lost in the mix. And so there lies the consequences. What can we do as we go forward? We must continue to discuss it and debate it in meaningful ways. Where do we go from here? What can we do, not what should we do, was the question. One of the things is every organization needs to make a decision to start with one person, bring in one co-op, bring in one intern, and build from there. It's this phenomenal challenge. It all starts with the simplest actions. It all starts with one. But if we can get every studio in the organization to start with one, and there are 60 plus studios in the organization, you have room for 60. What about 2? How about going to 3? Are there larger organizations that can accommodate more? And do we have a purpose and a meaning for each of them within it? And that is the way that you can start. It's very real, it's very tangible, and it's very now. We love to say no because it's easy, it's convenient. It's very hard for us to say yes. It's something that we struggle with, right? Because it involves time and money and effort and energy. And frankly, one of the commonalities you'll find in development is we got a lot of energy. We've got a lot of things that are going on. And so if we can say no, it means that we don't have to take the energy and resort to that. And that's the best I've got for you. I wish I had some answers. I wish I had a thesis. I wish I had something that was meaningful and impactful to it. But what I am hopeful it will do is facilitate some conversation here at this meeting that we can move forward. And if you are not open up to the one, then ask yourself why. And if you can do more than that, then do more than that. Thank you for your time.